Hello, all. This is Ankita, and today's topic of discussion is the Roaring Twenties, which was a generation from 1920 to 1929. It was a decade of glamour, anxiety, and social transformation. The Roaring Twenties refers to a decade of 1920s in United States following the end of World War I. It began after the end of World War I. After the war, America emerged as an economic superpower and Europe was weakened. Industrial production expanded rapidly and urban culture replaced rural dominance. So, here during this time, we see economic prosperity constantly growing. We see technological innovation. We see economic boom. हम देखते हैं कि rural जो population होती है, now it's beginning to shift in cities in the search of work. क्यों? क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ रही है, प्रोडक्शन बढ़ रहा है, तो वर्किंग फोर्स चाहिए होगी, एंड हेंस वी see the shift in population. It is a period of economic prosperity, technological innovation, cultural rebellion, and moral experimentation. The word roaring suggests loudness, energy, speed, and excitement. There was a rise of economic boom and consumerism. There was mass production. Things and objects became affordable. There was a rise of consumer goods. Radios, refrigerators, washing machines, all of these things were gradually produced and sold in the market. People invested heavily in stocks. Wealth appeared easy and limitless. The Roaring Twenties was also known as the Jazz Age, a term that was popularized by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Jazz music symbolized freedom, improvement, youth, rebellion. So you can see what all was going on in the age. We see production levels increasing. We see jazz music propagated. We see that sense of freedom propagated in the society with loudness, with energy. Literary representation of Roaring Twenties, the glittering surface of a decade masked deep spiritual emptiness. Though we see that during this age, there was music, there was experimentation, there was loudness, there was energy, but all of these things were things of surface. Deep down, this generation had deep spiritual emptiness. Somewhere they were hollow, they were disillusioned. The Roaring Twenties represent the triumph of modern capitalism, crisis of moral values, emergence of youth culture. It was a decade of economic exuberance and cultural experimentation that masked deep moral and spiritual instability in post-war America. We see that there is deep moral crisis. We see that there is spiritual instability. We see that people are showing themselves happy and energetic on the surface, but deep down they're disillusioned, they're hopeless. They don't know which way to go. The Roaring Twenties is what America looked like, and Lost Generation is about how sensitive writers felt inside it. So Roaring Twenties is showing how America was it is showing you the outer cover, whereas when we talk about the Lost Generation, it is during that time only how writers were feeling. It was an inward essence that was being felt during that generation. This age overlaps the age of Lost Generation. This decade ended with stock market crash in 1929. It led to Great Depressions in 1930s, and hence the age of Roaring Twenties ends with the Great Depression of 1930s. The Roaring Twenties, also known as the Jazz Age, this period 1920 to 1929, which was marked by economic prosperity, cultural experimentation, moral contradictions, and literary innovation. Beneath the glamour and glitter, there was also anxiety, alienation, and disillusionment. Parallel to Jazz Age, we have Harlem Renaissance that was running as a powerful movement in African American countries, right? It was a very powerful movement in African American culture. We have writers like Langston Hughes, Zora Hurston, who wrote on black identity, who wrote on racial pride, who wrote on cultural assertion, and a lot of other issues. So basically we have the Lost Generation, we have the Jazz Age, we have the Roaring Twenties, and we have the Harlem Renaissance running side by side, and there is a bit of connection between each of it, or one thing is leading to another. So you need to understand the background and how things are connected to each other. The Roaring Twenties was not merely a decade of jazz and parties, it was a transition from tradition to modernity, a clash between morality and freedom. It was a period of economic boom and hidden instability. This laid the foundation of modern literature. So it was the Roaring Twenties where we see that people were in the stage of conflict. People were in the stage of conflict between what is right, whether should they choose morality or should they run towards freedom, or should they keep their traditions intact, or should they move towards modernity of life, should they imbibe the technological innovation that were constantly improving. So there was a constant doubt that was in the mind, that what should they leave and what should they keep intact too. And this entire background led to the foundations of modern literature. I hope the idea of Roaring Twenties is clear to you and the background is also clear to you. Thank you.